Lego set.
I caught that on camera.
Alright, so we saw Spider-Man No Way Home hours ago, but our minds were so...
I got a migraine from crying so much. I cried like 4 or 5 times. It wasn't like... It was in bursts, you know? Like, it all came out over time. This guy just started sobbing at once.
I came out a new man. That's basically
we all came out a new man.
I had a headache from coming in, and I was completely fine. Came out. Thatch got one coming out.
Because I've never cried. I got teary-eyed just in the opening scene.
Yes,
I got teary-eyed.
It was just waiting that long,
and then seeing we should start there.
Yeah,
having just watched Far From Home, having seen that ending so many times, like literally the best cliffhanger ending in a Marvel movie,
waiting
aside
forever.
from the Infinity War Endgame snap.
That
scene is so good at the end of Far From Home. It's one of my favorite post-credit scenes. And this movie does such a good job just picking up from it, you know?
Yeah.
My one critique is I'm really sad they did not commit to the what the...
I know.
They could have fit it in!
Because they zoom up on, they're about to say it, and then, you know,
the horn was
cut off.
But it was a really well done scene. It was so... And then the scene following that, when he got into his home... And you saw Happy and
it's like a one take.
The one take
was so
going around. Everyone made thinks they're banging in there. Oh my god!
They're upset about something else, and they're like, "All right, let's talk about that and avoid the bigger situation."
But the scene was so good and so effective at showing that he couldn't hide from it.
Yes.
It was exactly what you wanted, you know. And it
great detail with having I survived New York City from
Homecoming.
Yeah, he just puts on a Ram shirt and had to be the one he put on. I love the consistency. You saw
the room is set up exactly how it was at the end of Far From Home.
And you see the rest of the apartment, which I love that because it's like
you see the charger for the Iron Spider still there and everything.
Yeah, took like the photos with the Edith glasses and the Iron Spider port and then
it's so good.
Yeah,
the shirt actually fit him too.
Yeah,
that's the shocking
didn't fit him before, then he's grown into it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
It's good character development.
He's gotten bigger. And it was just in that whole first act did such a good job.
It goes by so quick.
It does.
Yeah. It's like
the movie just we hit the third act so quick.
Yeah.
But the first act, right until Doc Ock shows up, does such a good job capping off so much stuff from the Home trilogy. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that they showed what happened with Flash. Oh my god, and then he bleaches his hair.
That was so.
And then they went out of their way to show the teachers, which is important.
Harrington. And the other gym teacher. I love how all three of them, and like that was so funny.
That was so funny.
That was a great way. And then Peter, first day of senior year, which is great. I really love how popular Peter. It's like he can't hide at all. Anywhere he goes,
can't hide.
Even to school, even at home.
And I loved the repercussions of it. Where like the movie does a really good job capturing the core dilemma of Peter Parker, which is the Spider-Man and how the Spider-Man stuff affects his home life. And this movie is like an exploration of that, which is what makes it so compelling, and an exploration of what it means to be Peter Parker, like what sets him apart. And it's so cool because that's like what makes it unique amongst the Spider-Man movies, is that it explores that, and they do a really good job at showing, like, I love that they can't get into college because of it. I love just all the repercussions. We got to talk about the Matt Murdock thing.
Yes, that was just
that was insane. He's in one scene, which is fine.
But he just comes out and he's just like, as soon as I saw the cane, I was like, oh my god.
I heard him go.
It's like, it's Matt Murdock.
I know.
Perfect scene. He didn't need to suit up or anything like that.
No, I love that he catches
that was so cool.
That was all you needed.
A very good lawyer. You know,
a very good lawyer.
I loved him. That.
It's just
him joking with Happy and saying, you're just going to need a good lawyer.
Which I loved him being... I loved him being like Peter called him Mr. Murdock and he's like Mr. Parker.
Yes.
I would watch a whole short film about the court case.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing they do kind of
They kind
of like push it to the side. But you used Matt Murdock to do it, so if anyone was gonna get him out of it,
as simple as that.
Right, it's Matt Murdock.
I mean, I would have loved to see more of that, but it wasn't the bigger thing. What was the effects of him and his identity being revealed?
And I loved
seeing how that's affected his life.
I really wanted some sort of wisdom to be imparted when I heard that he was like, please have him leave an impact on Peter Parker.
Yes.
I loved his line where he's like, you know, like, you've overcome the legal court, but now you need to go into a much more dangerous court, which is the court of public opinion.
Yes.
And that's so cool. And that's all you needed. And I mean, I want to see more of
for
him.
the only other character to have a secret identity to say
Right,
it's huge.
exactly,
And
yes. Because he's had, even if Daredevil Season 1 through 3s are not canon, that is all it is.
Yes.
Like, Daredevil,
So much
Daredevil
in
gets
line.
framed multiple times in
Yes.
those seasons, and he has to deal with the repercussions of being called a terrorist, so he understands,
Yes.
you know, the court of public opinion.
It feels implied in that way.
Yeah,
like
yes.
This is not, you know.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited because it's Charlie Cox. I'm so excited to see him again.
He'll come
him
back.
and other character in 1 week.
I'm so excited to hear about the by the way, this is the greatest cast in any superhero movie ever made.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, everyone. There was not one person that didn't bring their end game.
Everyone will
was,
get to it, but everyone gave it their all.
They
Everyone.
I was. And that doesn't happen.
I want to see. It's so great seeing him and his voice and everything he's saying.
Yes.
Oh God, I hope they don't throw away the Daredevil Netflix seasons.
I hope not, because, like I said, second season has many issues, but it does have.
It's still
when
good.
it's good in its moments,
And then third
it's very
season
good.
is like
it's perfection, I would think.
So,
I hope it's canon, but
it's
we'll
such
see.
a funny thing because there's so much of this movie that's the one thing that it's going to get looked over.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to talk about it, but it's great. It's good world building.
It is.
And then the Doctor Strange stuff was really cool.
That was amazing, and I love how he. Oh, him and
I
Wong,
love that Wong is technically the Sorcerer Supreme.
It makes sense because Strange was gone
Right,
for 5
and
years.
now
He
it
wants to
explains
take it.
why Wong was in Shang-Chi.
Yes.
Because he was having to do Sorcerer Supreme stuff,
Yeah.
you know? It was really cool, and I loved that the spell was not initially a big deal. It's
No.
it's just a memory wipe spell, right?
And that's great, and it's a perfect way and an explanation of why all these characers from all these separate movies.
There's
are drawn
one
in.
plot hole,
There is,
but we'll get to it.
Yes.
There's one.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
And I don't care because I don't think it's this. I would blame it more on a movie that came before this one than this one.
Right.
But great stuff with Doctor Strange. God, everyone gets an arc.
I like how it didn't turn into, because people were concerned, like, is it going to be more of a Doctor Strange movie?
No.
I mean, Doctor Strange was supporting in that way.
This is the perfect version of how to put a Marvel character in a Spider-Man movie.
because it's just like a comic book.
Right, yes.
It's just, he's
He just
there
walks in.
Yes, he's there when he needs to be there.
Yes.
And that chase scene, we'll talk about a bit with him and chasing without the
I wish I
box.
could have seen the ending.
Oh, it was...
How did he... Because he beat him,
so
right?
he used...
Yeah.
So when he was in the mirror dimension, Peter realized that it was kind of like a mirror, a mirror everything, but it's a duplicate. And he figured it out.
He
and
used
he used
math. Yeah.
He used math, and he
Geometry.
got all the webs, and he used geometry,
Yeah.
and got Strange tangled in a web.
Oh,
That's so
that's
cool.
And he's like,
cool.
I used math, and then he leads through the portal, and he's out, and then that's when he comes back at the Statue of Liberty.
That's awesome.
So it was that is like a pure spider using his knowledge. I love that.
Yes.
It's like that was a great moment.
Well, we'll circle back around.
Yeah.
But I loved then everything with Peter, MJ, and Ned was incredible.
That was like my favorite out of the whole trilogy.
And it's so earned.
Yeah.
It's so earned,
Yeah.
man.
And that's why we'll talk later in the movie why that was so impactful.
Right. There's
one
where there's so many moments, but God, this is just one of the Marvel movies with so much shit in it that you're just like, oh my God.
This is just for a solo
and it's all
character.
done. Yeah, it's all done so well.
Yeah, I can't. That's why it's unfoundable how this movie achieved to work in this way.
Right.
It just doesn't like Endgame did its own right.
Yes.
But
yes.
On a sole character of Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's
gonna be hard. We'll talk about it later. But Spider movies going after this are gonna need to go in a very different direction.
Yeah, and I do really like the direction it's going in.
I do too.
That makes it more.
Well, we know anyway. So
we gotta talk about like more of the villains.
Yeah. So Doc Ock,
when he shows up, oh my God.
So he comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I love that.
So cool.
Because Peter's just trying to like continue his
Also,
life.
the effects on him look stunning. Everyone was like, "Oh, he looks weird." No, he looks amazing.
He is perfect.
He looks perfect.
Perfect.
The action scene with him and
that
Peter
was
Parker.
So much. The Iron Spider suit.
Yes.
Always,
the choreography. Oh, everyone's like, "Why is he using the arms?" So that you can have the arms fight each other. Obviously,
why would they not use that?
Obviously, if you're gonna have Doc Ock and
but how he's blocking the blows.
Yeah, they're like
boom, boom, jab.
They're like doing.
It's so cool. As everyone thought they were gonna rip him off. I'm like, heck yeah, he still has the suit.
He has.
But,
dude, what's so cool is Spider-Man in this movie beats his villains every time he wins a fight with his brain.
Yes.
Never his
He
sheer
outsmarts
strength.
them.
He
It's
outsmarts
so cool.
everyone.
And the moment when the nanotechnology, he figures that it's like it's switching the headphones on your phone to a different device. That's exactly what it was.
Yes.
And it's so cool. And he's
so
like
cool.
having fun.
And I love,
like,
this is the best use of the Iron Spider suit ever.
Yes.
They do,
and it looked the best
And it needed to be here not only because of the actions, the choreography, but because it tied into how it was resolved.
Yes.
Because it needed to be that suit for the plot.
Yes!
You know, that's how he
That was the
resolved
only suit he had, because the other one was damaged, and he figured out, I can just turn inside out.
Exactly.
But I love that suit, and I'm glad he used it in that way.
Yes.
And it's still,
it finally feels like it's had, like, in every movie, it's like, okay, it's here.
Yes.
But now it's
like, we're not using it to its full advantage.
Yes.
Arms Infinity War and Endgame, sure. I like how it's on a Subway cup.
You're gonna grab your food?
No.
Okay. And I love
spider suit.
that the nanotech had to go on Doc Ock, which gives him a reason. The suit moves, which is what reveals his identity. It's all like set up very well.
I like how everyone thought it was gonna be Doc Ock just getting an upgrade.
Right. I think it's much better that Spider-Man's using the nanotech to hold him down.
Yes.
You know.
But it's cool because Doc Ock and Norman Osborn in those original movies were talking about nanotechnology.
Exactly. They mentioned nanotechnology in Norman Osborn's first scene.
Well, it's awesome. And
that was great. After that, they go back to the Doctor Strange lair. I like that Peter Parker, his friends come in to help him. You know, we're gonna get this in blurry shot. It's alright. I love it. It's a good gag. But his friends come in to help him, which I love. If you're gonna have his identity be revealed, take advantage of that. Yes. It's weird seeing him swing around, and it's very jarring to see him just be Spider-Man in the public.
It is.
But I loved all that, and then he just already caught the lizard. Doctor Strange had already gotten the lizard.
Which is cool. I wish I got to see that.
But I like how they find him in the sewers.
Yes,
obviously.
Cool. But
the biggest blue ball of my whole life was when Green Goblin showed up, and then he just teleports away.
Yeah,
I was like, oh!
Great transition, but it was like, just want to see for that classic costume.
You were like, oh!
I know, I was ticked off.
They pay it off.
They do.
It's a cool,
it is.
Stare down and to build up what's happening. Because you think,
all right, here's the next round, and then
it's a cool it sets up this rivalry a little bit, which is cool.
And it definitely when it happens, and when Peter goes, we'll talk about going to feast and sees Norman there.
So one of the things I want to talk about was that Otto Octavius is written so well.
I cannot believe they expanded upon his character from the second. I prefer him in this movie than in the first movie.
I don't blame you.
Look, because he's so well done, you understand him, and also it's like we're kind of a similar process of where he's evil again, and then towards the end of the movie. But we'll talk about
none of his lines feel like something he wouldn't say. That's another thing I wanted to mention. None of the villains feel like they're saying things that they wouldn't have. Like it all feels in line.
Yeah.
It's really cool how they maintained the character so well. You know, and I was so impressed by Doc Ock by how much it just felt like him.
He outside of Goblin, it was him, and I was surprised how much with Electro that I really.
Electro's so much better.
He was so funny.
So there's so much cool shit. Right after this scene is when he goes and gets Electro and Sandman.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was really cool because there was oh my god. So first of all, he switches his suit inside out, right? Yeah. Which, it's justified. They give a good reason for it. But it's definitely didn't need that. No, it's definitely for the toys.
Yes, it is.
But I do like that it's still the advanced suit, and then even the suit at the end is still the advanced suit.
Yeah, it's just all
no, they fell over. That scene's really cool. I like that he starts off being. I like the idea that in this universe, the way the energy flows is different than in his.
And that's why he's looking at himself. Whoa.
That was just a cool, creepy scene. And then
it was because you see him. It played part of his theme from TASM 2.
Yeah, they play all of the themes.
Yeah,
that was so cool to see them. And also, what's cool is they're woven in. There's a couple of themes where they it's not like they sometimes they would just play the music, right?
Yes.
But sometimes they would it's like not a cover, but they would play the beats from it, but in a new song.
It would be intertwined with whatever is part of the scene. I
noticed, they keep the motif, but they redo it.
I noticed with Sandman, you have the bigger orchestra going on, and then you hear the same which I love.
Very smart for music.
And then Sandman. Sorry, guys.
They're celebrating Spider-Man 2.
Sandman protecting Peter Parker. Did not see that coming.
No, I was
like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, they're not erasing his art. No, they're maintaining it.
And I like that he kind of loses trust. He doesn't know this Peter.
He doesn't know this one. And it's each of the villains, shocking, except for Lizard, each of the villains has a character arc.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Lizard is... He's more interesting than he is in TASM 1.
He's good.
But they don't...
What I like about is he's not an oaf.
Yes.
He talks, and he's still very eloquent and smart, which is cool and makes him different.
Because he still had his own sort of evil intentions throughout.
But we don't really know. He's the only one where we don't know. Like, he's in a bus at some point.
He's in the gray still.
Yeah, but everyone else has got an arc, you know?
Yes.
Even Sandman, where he doesn't trust Peter Parker as much.
Yeah, or trust anybody. He says,
he doesn't trust anyone here, which I love. He's a criminal. It makes sense he wouldn't trust anyone.
Yeah.
It was just really well done. And I love the Doctor Strange web shooter.
That was cool because he just took whatever the little clip piece on Peter's belt of the spider suit, which that is a cool way of explaining how does Peter have the suit on him and just suddenly transform out of it. So that's cool. And he just takes it, puts some Doctor Strange magic on it, and
that comes around really cool. But he uses that to teleport them. And what's so cool is they acknowledge the fact that we've never seen these characters together before.
Yes.
So they just have a scene of just the villains talking, which is so
that
cool.
Is probably
and when they recognize each other, you're like, oh, they know each other.
As soon as I saw like, Doc Ock and said, Osborn, I was like,
whoa!
Like, and then having Electro recognize Kirk Connors, and it's like, oh my god.
It was, and the fact that they call him Dr. Connors.
Yes, Dr. Connors. They don't call him the Lizard, and they just, otherwise he gets called a dinosaur by, Ned. And that's
I love when Peter Parker's like, it was like a green elf.
Which is perfect. I
almost wish they would have said the Emerald Elf, because that's a thing in the comic books. But
that would have been great.
But it built up the joke. So like the green, you're waiting for, and then he goes elf, and you're like, what? Norman Osborn is so interesting. So I like what they did, because they clearly, what John Watts and the writers, they were like, okay, we're going to try and keep these guys in character. We're going to respect how they act. The only real one they let act like different is Electro, but he's better, and they also acknowledge that. You know, like he's almost like he's more confident. Part of his arc, you know, he feels like more of a badass in this universe, you know, which is cool. And they acknowledge that he looks different and everything.
Yeah. Glad they didn't just brush past that, because he easily could have not.
Right, but what's cool is they didn't just do it to explain it. It ties into his arc.
Yes.
He looks more handsome. He looks cooler. He's
and
got
that's
shit
why
together.
he wants to stay.
Yes, so it because he doesn't want to go back to being the shitty TASM 2 version.
He doesn't want to go back and die. And then,
he doesn't want to go back being a comb over dork.
He don't want to go back and be blue.
Yeah, exactly. Really cool. It almost felt like it was just Jamie Foxx.
It was, but it worked. You could tell he was having a blast playing the role.
And he was so funny, because Jamie Foxx is all these actors are great actors.
They are. Everyone, the villains bounce off each other so well. I love that. Outside of Norman and Octavius, that was the greatest interaction between both of them.
So they use the dual personality thing of Norman.
Yes, that's pure Green Goblin.
It's really cool.
And
yes,
they did that perfectly.
I love how he smashes the mask.
Yes,
that was cool.
and that was so
the imagery.
Spider-Man No More, and it's Goblin's trying to.
It was literally Goblin No More.
Norman's scared. He doesn't know he's in another universe.
Yeah.
Goblin still has control. Goblin
doesn't have a son.
He doesn't have a son. He doesn't. His job is business of his Oscorp.
May is used so well in this.
Yes.
They bring May in to because she has part of Fee. She wants to help people.
Yes.
She wants to help him.
Yes.
She's probably seen a lot of
And she says she's like he's lost.
She's probably seen a lot of drug addicts and homeless people that are a lot like Norman Osborn.
Yes.
Which it makes sense.
That's Norman Osborn. That's the Green Goblin character overall. Is that it's kind of duality between two personalities, like Jekyll and Hyde. And all that's
especially in that movie.
Yes.
And it was interesting because one of the things that's hard to track in Spider-Man 1 is his motivations.
Yes.
And it's this vague concept of power and not letting it be tampered with, or not being controlled, not holding yourself back, and this it's kind of vague in that movie.
Yeah, it is.
But they take it in this movie and they define it more, and they tie it into Spider-Man specifically. Mm-hmm. The idea that he believes that if you have power, you should be able to use it uncontrolled and do whatever you want and take what you want. And he thinks that Spider-Man is held back by Uncle Ben and Aunt May. And I like that they took a vague kind of undefined thing from Spider-Man 1 and they made it better in this. And by retrospect, made his motivations in Spider-Man 1 make more sense.
Yes. And also the meaning of great power, great responsibility.
Yes.
And how they use.
He represents power without responsibility. Yes. Which is why he's his arch nemesis.
Yes.
Really well done. So funny that he's got a big purple sweatshirt on for some reason.
I love that, and it just slowly
and
torn out. I love that so much.
He looked like a Power Rangers character, but I loved it.
In the hood.
And obviously Defoe is incredible.
He is.
And he gets so much to do in this.
Yeah,
Sorry for spitting on you.
What?
I spit on you a little bit accidentally.
I don't.
Anyway, Norman is really. I need to rewatch his scenes so much.
I want to see the whole movie again. That's why it's.
I love it,
so
dude. Me and Aiden. No one else was laughing. Me and Aiden started dying because in the background, Willem Dafoe just takes a box of donuts in his pockets, like raw donuts.
Yes.
He waited for 3. He kept running around.
And we were looking.
That was the best joke. I love that so much.
That was no one else noticed.
We looked like crazy people, and then right behind him I was listening to it. I'm like, I'm laughing at Norman.
I know. We were like, it was so funny.
They were talking, and I was trying not to laugh, and I saw you guys were laughing. I was like, oh no.
This is just. I want to know if John Watts told him to do that, or if Willem Dafoe just started doing that.
I don't. Either way, it's genius, and I love it.
It's
now that you think that in that final battle scene, he just had donuts in his pocket. I
like to imagine him like being like, "Oh, we're gonna stop Spider-Man."
Oh my God.
Stop Spider-Man.
Yeah,
dude.
Goblin fueling up on donuts to get ready.
Oh my God, it was so funny. Okay, so that was great.
We mostly talked about the villains here.
Right. Do you want to talk about the Doctor Strange scene?
Oh, I do. So Thatch had to use the restroom.
I had to piss
it was
so
towards
bad.
the end. But
I waited because I was like, I knew I had to pee for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot.
It was a big scene.
I was like, I can't miss anything with the villains.
Yes.
I can't wait till the end of the movie because I know what's gonna happen.
Yes.
So this is the only scene. It's a great scene, and I'm so sad I missed that math thing because that is amazing.
That was the best part of it.
I wish I would have gone right at the beginning.
At one point, when the cloak is like holding onto the box with Peter and the web in between the portals.
Yeah.
So they like strain it so much, and Strange is trying to pull the cape back.
Oh.
And claps together, and then it folds the whole mirror dimension. Yeah. It is so freaking cool.
Oh.
I'm trying to describe it as much as possible.
It was really trippy.
So basically, like it's like a geometric.
Like they just like it's like shutting a door, and it's like it was.
That's
amazing.
how he notices because he sees the
that's how he figures
shapes
out
on the wall.
Yes,
like, it's math.
Yeah,
that's so cool. That is so cool. There's that. I loved. Oh my God! What's so great about this is, unlike any of in the MCU, Spider-Man's felt a little like underutilized. You know, I think they respect him, but they definitely don't ever have like a. He's not like the great hero that he. You know.
Yes.
In this, they're obviously like, okay, he's Spider-Man. He's a genius. He's one of the best superheroes. Yeah. Okay, let's just embrace it. So I love. First of all, I freaked out when he freed the villains, and then he used the web shooter to send Strange into the port. I was like, dude, you did not just do that.
You just screwed with the Sorcerer. Well,
right.
Doctor Strange.
Right, not quite Sorcerer Supreme yet.
He'll be back in that soon.
And then I loved the moment. I loved Strange being like. I love the idea that Spider-Man could get the best of Strange.
Yes.
Because he is A, naturally powerful, but B, really smart. Yes. And I love the bit when Strange is trying to get the thing and his body's reflexibly moving. Yes. You know, because of his spider sense.
Yes, and you saw the little line.
Yes,
that was like.
You can see the little lines on his head.
Which is the closest thing we'll see that, which is awesome.
That was so cool. And just to see
even when he's out of his body, that's like just part of his. Part of
he's dodging something.
Yes. It's so cool.
That's what makes Spider-Man's moveset one of, if not the best of all the superheroes, is because it can be applied so uniquely.
Yes.
You know?
And through magic.
And then the idea that he used math by looking at the it's so I'm just picturing John Watts going, okay, how's he going to beat him? And watching Doctor Strange and going, okay, so if you look at the special effect they used for this, they did it like a geometrical prism.
Yes.
So what if I acknowledged that and had Peter... That's such an ingenious attention to detail.
It is. And it's the best way because how else is Peter
because like that never gets acknowledged. No. It just says the mirror dimension. It's just a special effect. They never acknowledge...
Peter, like I wonder what he would comment on something else. Like we saw the dark dimension. He can go through there and see all the different parts.
And that he would use his brain and then he would beat Strange in a fight.
Yeah.
Is so huge. One of the most powerful MCU characters. Yeah. And not because Spider-Man...
him. I mean,
not because he's the most raw powerful, but because he's the smartest, and he knows how to use.
He's a kid, but
here's what I'll say: Spider-Man is the hero that because he's so smart, he knows how to use the limited powers he has to the very best of their abilities.
Yes,
and that's what makes him unique. You know, like. Certain heroes like Hulk or whatever, he's so strong, but he doesn't...
Well, outside of that...
He doesn't know how to apply that into its fullest potential. You know, like, Captain Marvel just literally flies through things. Yeah. She doesn't use her power smartly.
No, she doesn't realize
She's just so powerful, she can just fly through shit, you know? Yeah. But Spider-Man has to, like, think and figure out how to get the most out of what he has. Yes. That's so cool.
And that's what he's done in every movie.
In every movie.
Yeah. Because even like Far From Home, when he's using the drones, he's like, all right, how can I get this all together?
Yep.
You know?
That's so wonderful, dude.
Oh, man.
So what happens right after that?
Isn't it?
Oh, they'll go to Happy's apartment.
They go to Happy's apartment.
Yeah.
So funny.
Dude, everyone up in the...
Bring all the guys.
So cool to see them all there.
Yeah.
You know, that's such a funny scene, and they're all acting... I was like, oh my god. I was like, they're going to get hokey, and these characters are not going to feel right. They're going to do something. One of them's going to say a line that feels like... And it didn't happen once. They were so restrained, you know? Even Sandman sitting on the chair being like, oh, sorry. They didn't push it too far. They didn't, you know... Everything was well done, and then it starts getting really crazy because this movie did something so... It's amazing to think that Tom Holland had to be there, his specific version of Peter, to go and fix villains from old Spider-Man movies because he had empathy for them.
Yes,
that's
the whole reason why he didn't want Strange to bring him back
because they're gonna die. Yeah. That's so powerful.
Like, I'm gonna try and
fix them. In line. It's in line with this because he saves Vulture in the first Homecoming. Yeah. You know,
he doesn't want these guys to die.
He's not like the other Spider-Man where they will kind of let a guy die.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
he can't live with the thought. And I know he like kills monsters, but they're not sentient. You know.
No.
That's the Iron Spider.
Yeah, that's a life or death situation.
Right, and also they're not sentient beings.
No.
Obviously, they're running through a portal and getting chopped in half and shit.
They don't even have faces. So
like they're literally in Infinity War. They're running in the Wakanda border and killing themselves because they have no sense of sentience. You know, it's just I just thought that was so wonderful that they used that thing that would be the crux of his arc at the end when he tries to kill Green Goblin. It ties into that, but. That scene's great, and the idea that he would just go and use his genius to try and heal these guys. Yep. And the scene when he sees different moments are going to affect people differently, right? But I know that scene when he heals the inhibitor chip is going to make some people cry. Yeah. Because Doc Ock is a tragic character. In that movie.
Honestly, he's probably the most tragic of all of them.
Yes, for sure.
And also lost his dream,
right?
And also loves love of his life.
And Otto Octavius is so likable in that movie. Yeah. And it feels so like... And it's not done where it feels cheap or like fan fiction. It feels earned, you know?
Like it was about time he finally got a cure. And now he just had to die for...
Yes. You know. And it's so cool, and all the little nuanced scenes they have, and all the different villains react to things differently. And Norman Osborn, he says, I'm something of a scientist myself, which is amazing.
That was...
he's got so many lines. Of all the villains, he's the one that has the most reoccurring lines because every thing he says is iconic.
It is. And even now, his lines to Peter,
Yes, and the fact that he uniquely were able to taunt this Peter because this one's the most, innocent and naive.
Yes.
That he would be able to take advantage of him the most.
Yes.
And it was just all great. The lizard's in a truck for some reason.
He just wants to hang in there.
I guess.
I don't know why. And everyone else is having fun upstairs.
You don't want to bring a lizard upstairs into your apartment?
Well, I would.
He's just sitting there.
He's
like, that's the one thing Lizard is like. I mean, I think it's a good version of the character. I think he's smart.
It's a better version.
He's good. He has intelligence.
Yeah.
But his arc is the one that gets missed the most because obviously they struggle with
I think
like him being in the bus and then just being like, so it's beginning, like, what are you talking about? Did Norman talk to him? I don't really know.
He had his own things this is not going to go well. That's kind of the vibe I got from him. Yeah. It's kind of no,
that's true.
Mind, so.
But it would have been cool if they would have been able to bring him in to help them do science shit.
Yeah, I would have loved that.
But they didn't ignore that he was a scientist either. It just didn't really utilize it as much as the other guys, but it's okay. And they have the fabricator from the end of Far From Home.
Which that was awesome. I love
so cool. I love that it puts a dent in the wall because obviously it would. It's not supposed to be in a back room. And I love when he holds the arc reactor and says, "The power of the sun in the palm of my hand."
Yeah.
So cool. Everything is so cool, and everything Norman's saying is so. You're just like, God, it's not going to go well.
And then the moment it does is such a tense moment.
Yes.
Peter starts his Peter tingles going off haywire.
Yes.
And he's looking around,
he knows
what's going on. And you're looking around and you're like, is anyone going to make a move or any of these villains?
And then Norman.
He webs his hand.
And then what follows, the fight scene of the slug out. They don't use any other power than just beating the shit out of each other.
It was going through
so cool.
Floor to floor.
Yes.
Yeah. Outside, in and out.
It's just a fisticuffs.
It was.
Beating the shit out.
It was amazing.
It was of Spider-Man and I've always said, Tom Holland's my favorite Spider-Man. Willem Dafoe will forever be the best Green Goblin.
Always.
To see them just slug it out And then when the moment when Peter's punching him and he's just smiling, oh my god,
that was the best part. I was like, oh my god.
And it shows the reason that the thing that makes him so dangerous is that he is a genius with unrestrained power. Norman, he is. And he's insane.
Dude, he's unstoppable.
He's like...
Did you see one mark or gash on his face
when
he got smashed and punched?
And he's loving it, you know?
This is what he wants. This is what Goblin fuels off of.
Exactly.
Peter Parker. And
it's just, so good.
I love how he's screwed with 2 Peter Parkers, 2 Spider-Man.
I know. He just f***ed up.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Just imagine what he would have done if he got to do more.
Right? I know.
Outside of...
If he was left running loose in the MCU, he would be a force to be reckoned. And when they're fighting, you get the sense of, like, this dude is a super soldier. Yeah, like Captain America level, you know? So cool.
And that's what that's what they hint towards in the original movies. That it's kind of like them trying to recreate that super soldier.
It feels hard. Like, it didn't hit as hard in the original movie.
Until the end, and the final fight, that was pretty good. Like, but you never get as much of a scene where he's like, it's just, it's so cool. And to see Tom Holland, and what's so great is I was sitting there like, because I knew he mentioned he fought him now, this hand-to-hand fight, and I was like, oh my god, that's all I want out of Green Goblin Spider-Man. And I was like, oh, that's it. Well, you know, at least that was great. Yeah. But I mean, I wish I could see more, but I thought that was it. And I did not know what was coming later.
And then, holy crap.
Well, and then, so Willem Dafoe's Goblin finally gets to kill someone close to Peter Parker.
I think that moment when he kills that person close to the MCU, Peter Parker, is that when he really became Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like that. Yes. He's not a kid anymore.
There's so much I like.
Completely changed.
There's one asterisk I have about that I need to get into, because I don't know how I feel about a certain aspect of it, right? But I do like the way it was done was the best version of it. I mean, I love that they trick you. And oh my god, it's heartbreaking. May is trying so hard to be strong for Peter Parker.
Like, she makes sure everything's alright.
She's trying to make him feel okay, in spite of the fact that she's literally dying.
Yes.
And Marissa Tomei's doing, and like when her hand is shaking.
Dude, that's why I noticed. I was like, you don't get hit by a glider and then the whole pumpkin bomb and you're gonna be alright. Right. That was just...
She had the bag over.
Yeah. Well, that was filled with all the cure items.
And then, you know, she's talking and she says, you've got power and you've got responsibility. And she says, and with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Which is the original writing of the line. Yep. The line is not with great power comes great responsibility. No. It's with great power, there must also come. Okay. That is the specific line.
I actually want to search that up again.
And it's actually an internal monologue of Peter in the comic books. No one says it to him. But she says the original version, and I love that original version because it's so powerful, you know. I would have liked if there was a moment if she would have said something like, that's what Ben used to tell me, or something like that. I
guess he's just not...
That's my asterisk.
Yeah, that one. There must also come great responsibility.
So
that was the final.
This is my one thing, and we can talk about it later. This movie basically confirms that Uncle Ben just doesn't exist in the MCU.
Which
I just don't know how I feel about that, you know? Like,
because how does that explain with the bag then? Like, he hasn't...
Yeah, well, Ben Parker, I guess, exists, but Peter Parker never
knew him.
I think the idea is Peter Parker never knew him, right? Because, and I was waiting for her grave to be next to Ben Parker. I was really waiting, and they didn't.
They didn't do that either.
It just feels weird, and and then when we'll get into it. I mean, when the other Peter Parkers mention Uncle Ben, Tom Holland has no reaction.
Yeah.
So that thing is like, I just don't know how I feel about that.
Because that's the missing link in all of this.
Right.
True.
You know.
Right.
I think if Uncle Ben did exist, and then May kind of like took that. Well, you know, that advice and that, you know...
I get that people like to... I always assumed Uncle Ben existed, but everyone else assumed he didn't. So, to me, it's just... That's the one thing where I'm like... I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. You know, like, maybe if there would have been a line, like, if maybe the way it was is May was looking at him and was like, you know... with great power, and then Peter Parker finished it, there must also come great responsibility. And he said, like, Ben, and she said, yes. Don't forget that. That would have been fine.
That would have been it.
But... I get what they wanted to do. They wanted to give that moment. They wanted to make that moment of like the death and the great power line happen here.
Yes.
But it brings up a question of in the past, how does that work? So I'm not against it because they did it the best way they could have.
It's also interesting because
I just wish there was. I just don't like the implication that Uncle Ben means nothing to Tom Holland.
Homecoming part of it, like when when Ned first finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, he's like, don't tell May because she's already had enough to worry. Which is like, well, what does that mean? What were they going through? I want to know. Was it like
probably
because
Ben,
it was 6 or 7? It was 6 months.
But
it
can be though. I mean, maybe he died, but when Peter was young or something.
Just doesn't care.
I don't know. Maybe if they ever talk about Peter Parker's parents in this universe, maybe they'll talk about that.
They're doing the show. I mean,
they are, maybe.
They are. That could be a way of...
It was just...
But it's just... I feel like what you were just saying of like how, him finishing the line and saying that's what,
He does say, I know. He says, I know. But it's not, like, enough. And again, if he knew, then he should have acknowledged when the other two talk about Ben.
Yes.
So that's the one... But I think for this movie it was done well. The scene is heartbreaking.
Oh, God, that was...
Of all the... It's so tragic, and just the fact that she's trying to stay strong is like, oh God.
That was
And then the shot of Peter Parker standing in front of the J. Jonah Jameson thing.
Yeah. Oh, J. Jonah for however part he was in this movie.
Dude, he was used so well.
He was.
He really
I
was.
like how he was starting out from this like dinky apartment. He's like got a green screen and foil table behind him, and now he's got like a real official desk. But he's like trying to track Spider-Man and see what he's doing next.
His lines, like with the line when he says, "Wherever Spider-Man goes, destruction follows."
That was totally out of comic books. When he's in front of that screen after May passes and just looking up, like he's just. Oh man, I love that because that's That's the best way to use J. Jonah.
Yes,
and it makes me excited for looking for what he's gonna do.
Me too.
Hates Spider-Man.
All of his lines, like his lines here were like I call them trailer lines. They're lines where they're like very epic and like and but they're good, but they're also they tie into the themes.
It makes
it's great.
Sense. Yeah,
and J.K. was doing an amazing job. I loved it. Yeah. I even love the moment when there was a news broadcast guy walking. He's like, "They're here," and he's like, "Well, they're in there, and we're out here." That was great.
Just follow them.
Yeah. But it was all good. I liked seeing Electro turn on Doc Ock.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
It was all very good. And then Lizard beats the shit out of him, and the Green Goblin. It was
I love in between that fight. Lizard just passes him back to Goblin.
Right.
Like, here you go.
Yeah.